We are in the middle of what economists are calling the fourth industrial revolution. With the growing prevalence of artificial intelligence, the cloud, and near ubiquitous internet connectivity, we are heading into a major shift in the way we work. But what does this mean for our future as a society? Will this shift destroy jobs and leave working families without the means to support themselves? Or will it usher in a time of abundance and leisure? We don't know for sure what the future will hold, but by looking at the past and human nature, we can make some educated predictions of how things will play out. To understand how automation takes jobs and causes migrations in work, we must first understand what I like to call the skills ladder. At the bottom of the ladder, you have low-skill work. This is lower-paid work that requires very little expertise or experience to do. Think of jobs like retail checkout or fast food worker. As you go up the ladder, you enter into more moderately skilled work, such as bookkeeper, legal assistant and the like. Towards the top of the ladder, you have highly skilled work, such as engineer, physician and accountant, that require years of education and are well paid. Traditionally, automation and industrialization start at the lower skill end and work their way up. For example, 200 years ago, 70% of the population worked in agriculture, doing physically demanding but uncomplex work. With industrialization, now only 1% of the population works in agriculture. What happened to the other 69%? They either moved into other forms of lower skill work, or they transitioned up the skills ladder to types of work not as easily automated. Today, we have more and more companies now replacing their low and medium skill work with automation. Bookkeeping can now be done through automated bank syncing and vendor categorization for many businesses. McDonald's is experimenting with unmanned restaurants using kiosks, and Walmart is experimenting with stores with fully automated self-checkout and shelf-stocking robots. Automation has moved up the skills ladder and is starting to take over jobs in the middle, such as travel agent, mortgage broker and paralegal. So, in order to thrive, these groups will do what others have done before and seek to move up the skills ladder. However, in the last decade, we have made enormous advances in artificial intelligence thanks to deep learning techniques and increased computer power. As that computing power continues to increase and we continue to create more and more data, we will be able to build smarter automation that will follow us up the skills ladder. And one day, in the next 10 to 30 years, it will diagnose patients just as well as a trained physician, or, with the help of natural language processing, even understand and respond to legal pleadings, as well as an attorney can. Reaching the top of the ladder is inevitable, and that point could very well be within the lifetime of some of us alive today. When that happens, the few who control the means of this automation will reap its rewards, while the majority will struggle to find gainful employment. The benefit to a system where most products and services are the results of automation is that the costs will be much lower for these goods and services, and they will be available 24/7, since machines never sleep. But how can a company provide goods and services, no matter how cheap, when no one has money to purchase them? This is where ideas like universal basic income come into play. Right now, we frown upon such ideas, since the vast majority of people in the first world can find work, and therefore see paying more in taxes in support of such a concept as being unfair, since the assumption is that they should be able to find work in our current socio-economic climate. But what happens when 51% of the population cannot find work due to automation? Will public opinions on such programs change? Will the arguments go from, "If I have to work, then so should you," to, "If I can't find work, then no one can"? Would companies that are currently seeking the lowest taxes possible suddenly be content to pay higher taxes if it means putting money back into the pockets of consumers to spend on their goods and services and prevent the economic machine from breaking down? These are the questions we will need to ask ourselves in the coming decades as we grapple with our own insatiable appetite for cheaper and more plentiful goods and services, and the automation that makes them possible. This presentation has been brought to you by the automation and artificial intelligence experts at Iron Rock Software.